What role do you feel the board really has with regards to diversity?
I hope that the modern board says, well, the nature of the makeup of our societies is now balanced more finely between men and women. Women are as highly educated and very often more better educated than men, as higher quality degree capacity and easily able to work in executive boardrooms than as men had done previously in generations. Therefore, there's a need to balance boards on gender balance, male and female. You need to have cultural diversity. You need to be able to think differently as well as to look differently. Then we need to learn the acceptance of the cultural realities of the new emerging economies, those economies that are part of the G20 network, let alone beyond that, where we have to learn the cultural distinctiveness of people of different religious communities. We have to learn different cultural histories. And therefore, boards should seek to have that representation. If you're going to have the best intelligence available to a board to make decisions on investment, on growth, on people growth, on talent, and on manufacture or on product supply or services, you need to have the richness of the gender balance and also the cultural insights that a very diverse board can bring. There is a certain element to which you can cajole and you can move and you can encourage and you can say all the right things, and you do get companies to move towards greater openness, and that's always welcome. But there sometimes can be an intrinsic resistance to change simply because somebody has never encountered a person of color or of a different ethnic background or worked with people of a different cultural base or a different language type. And as a result of that, their instinct is to be protective of the culture they know. My support for quotas is not to say place a woman in that role because she's a woman, place a black man in that role because he's a black man, place an Indian gentleman there because he's an Indian. That's not what quotas are about. What quotas, in my view, are about is ensuring that when executives are making decisions about employment and recruitment, or even retention and development, that they are forced to have to look at the options available. There should be a requirement to say, let's see people of every different culture and type come forward, because not all the best people for boards, for organizations, carry the smartest degrees. Sometimes some of the best innovators in the world are not academics, but they're great innovators because their instincts to entrepreneurship are right. That's all about cultural diversity, instinctive diversity. So I think, to me, what quotas are about is not enforcing any gender demand or cultural demand. It's about opening the window and allowing very often more traditional executives to have to look at what they might otherwise not do.
Something that's of real importance is the development of the pipeline of talent within organisations. What do you feel is really the board's remit in this context?
My understanding is that if we're to follow the non-quota route, which has been imposed in many European countries, the Netherlands, France, Norway, etc., and Denmark. If we were to follow the non-quota route, we're looking at least, half a century, 50 years, some would say as far as 70 years, to achieve that parity for women. Now, I would argue that in the 2015s, we haven't got 50 years to hang around and wait for boards, to a large extent, of men to make the responsible, right, appropriate, intelligent, instinctively wise decision to embrace difference and to change their cadre. We haven't got 50 years to do that. We need to be on the sharp edge of not just innovation and leadership, but we need to keep abreast of changes in our wider society. We want to make sure we recruit as many great women as we do great men. And therefore, I would argue that what quotas can help us to do, but what diversity targets can help us to do, whether you take the quota line or the diversity targets line, is to make sure that boards from their chairman or chairwoman downwards constantly address this. It's in front of their face, constantly require, constantly request, and in some cases, very wisely, make it a remuneration criteria.